Hello. Welcome to tonight's bedtime story by Lucid Tales. I hope your day has held you gently in the palm of its hand, but whether it has been soft waves or riptides for you, it's time to relax now. Find somewhere comfortable, maybe your bed or a favourite armchair, and make sure you're ready for sleep. Take your shoes off if you can, and feel the freedom in your toes, the little loosening that means it's time for bed. Tonight's story has been written in honour of the Colston Four, who stand trial today for protesting the violent history still celebrated on plinths here in the UK. Once upon a time, in our time, this gift of the present forged from past's memory and hope of a future, there was a revolution. It started small and quiet, with muttered epithets and glances spoken up against, and grew and swelled into harsh, cruel words in the street met with frozen milk and angry, righteous fists. In time, it even led to the toppling of the great bronze men once believed to be immortalized in metal. History is made in moments. The little breathing space before the cry, the drawing back of an arm, the tensing in the knees before taking a stand. History is born there, my friends, in the impetus, the motion, in the quiet decision, all loud, to act. It is not, my dears, the waking, but the rising. And the opening of eyes, followed by the choice, is how we too can change the future. Once upon a time, there was a time traveller. This traveller, this walker of the myriad ways of time and distance, knew the rules, as all who follow that craft do. They knew that to change even the smallest whisper in the past could irrevocably change the present. Of course, this traveller in time, like all of their ilk, could travel only through time in one direction, forward, one grueling day step at a time. They could skip ahead by minutes or hours, sometimes days, when engrossed in a task or tangled in the arms of a lover. Or they could slow, breathe deeply, and watch each unhurried, ticking second slide by like an eon. But while these powers may be mundane, and indeed every one of us possesses such magic, this traveller knew the real secret of time. They knew that to change even the smallest whisper in the present could irrevocably change the future. And so they indeed trod carefully, for they walked upon the dreams of people who had not yet come to be. But to tread carefully, my dears, does not mean to never step at all. When the time came, and the world's injustices burned bright in the light of day, this traveller joined with the others of their kind, the workers and weavers of fate, and changed the direction of the world. People said they merely changed the conversation, burned down a building, drowned a man long dead. But my loves, my darlings, we all know that a conversation is but a whisper given voice, and a burning building is a voice become a cry against the foulness of these violent men immortalized in bronze and the long lines of their eager descendants. Their legacy lives on in the frothing mouths of those who would claim to protect us, while all the while they are the looming, snarling face, the shaking hands behind the gun. It lives on in the clawing, grasping, greedy fingers that steal food from out of the mouths of hungry children. It lives on in the unchallenged notion of government, of leadership thrown out like rocks from on high, and the trickle-down lies like desiccated waterfalls. And so the time travellers, they went together to the great spaces and cities and the wide roads, and they sang and marched and banged on drums and played music and burned brighter and more beautiful than any coal fire set by oil-slicked hands. They burned like clear, pure water. And they rose like a tide. For what is the power of the few rich men in their high halls but sand? Once upon a time, 10,000 people went out into the world and challenged the might of the men who would be king. And like a tide they reared high, crashed and ebbed, taking the illusion of peace into the sea along with a worthless heap of bronze matter. Now that the bones of this violent world have been exposed by those who were always at the sharp end of them, by those who always saw them, now that we all see it too, what will come of it? Today, 4 time travellers stand before the man in the wig who hides behind his face of power, the man we call Law but whose hidden name is Might. These 4 travellers carry the weight of 10,000 upon them, and we in turn carry them. The tide has already turned. See how it rushes in and floods the streets around the stony courthouse. In time, even the very rocks of this place will be washed away and the sand cleared. In time, the blood in the stones of walls built on the bent backs of a people violated and enslaved will be washed clean. We know that to change even the smallest whisper in the present can irrevocably change the future. And so they indeed trod bravely, for they built the dreams of people who had not yet come to be. Good night. Sleep well, and I will see you soon for another bedtime story.